Welcome to my channel, The World of Science Fiction. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Jason gasped, his vision flickering between reality and something else. For a brief moment, he wasn't in the cavern anymore. He wasn't on the planet, he was somewhere else. A vast void stretched before him, endless and shifting, filled with golden eyes staring back at him. Whispers crawled along his skin, seeping into his mind, into his bones.
You do not belong.
The words weren't spoken, they simply existed inside him. Jason clenched his fists, forcing himself to push back against the presence.
Get out of my head.
The voices laughed, then pain. A sharp, blinding pain shot through his skull, forcing him to his knees. He could feel them digging through his memories, through his fears, searching.
You are weak, a lost thing. Do you even know why you are here?
Jason gritted his teeth, fighting against the overwhelming pressure in his mind. He refused to break. Then, as suddenly as it had started, it was gone. Jason's vision snapped back to reality as he gasped for air, finding himself back in the cavern, sprawled on the cold ground. The Voidborn were gone. Only the scorch marks on the ground and the lingering unease in his chest proved they had ever been there at all. Alex was already on her feet, helping Mark up. Naomi was shouting something over the comms, but Jason could barely process the words. Because Seyna was watching him. Her expression wasn't the same as before. It wasn't just cold warrior discipline anymore. It was recognition. She knew something. Jason forced himself to his feet, still breathing heavily.
What the hell just happened?
Seyna didn't answer right away. Instead, she turned toward her father, Master Vael'Zorith, who was still seated on his throne above, staring down at Jason with an expression of deep consideration. Finally, the Orc leader stood.
You live. That is more than I expected.
Jason wiped sweat from his forehead, trying to ignore the way his head still throbbed.
Glad to exceed expectations.
Vael'Zorith's piercing gaze settled on him.
The war trials are over. You have proven yourselves.
Mark pumped a fist into the air.
Hell yeah, we did.
Alex gave him a look.
You almost got us all killed.
And yet here we are.
Seyna stepped forward, looking at her father.
What happens now?
The Vael'Zorith didn't take his eyes off Jason.
Now we talk.
Jason exhaled, his body still tense. Whatever just happened, it wasn't over, not even close. The chamber was silent, save for the distant hum of the glowing blue veins pulsing along the cavern walls. Jason stood his ground, his heart still pounding from whatever the hell had just happened. The whispering voices, the golden eyes in the void, it had felt too real to be just a hallucination. And Seyna knew something. She hadn't looked surprised when he collapsed. She had expected it. Vael'Zorith stepped down from his throne, his massive armor-clad form casting heavy shadows across the broken arena floor. His gaze was locked on Jason, unreadable yet piercing.
You claim you came here because of a distress signal, but you know now that no Orc called for aid.
I know, but that doesn't mean the signal wasn't real.
The Vael'Zorith studied him for a long moment, then turned his gaze to Seyna.
You saw it, didn't you?
Jason's breath caught. Seyna's expression remained neutral, but something flickered behind her violet eyes, a secret she wasn't willing to share.
I saw enough.
Then it is as I feared.
Jason exchanged a glance with Alex, who subtly shifted her stance, ready for a fight.
Do you want to fill the rest of us in?
The Voidborn are not just ancient ghosts, human. They are a warning, a sickness that spreads in the dark corners of the universe, and for the first time in generations, they are stirring.
You've been encountered them before.
Not in my lifetime, not in my father's. But long ago, before the Orcs withdrew from the galaxy, our people waged war against them. It was a war we barely survived.
And you didn't think to mention that before we fought them in a cave.
We didn't know they had returned.
Then why are they speaking to me?
Because they see something in you.
Jason's stomach tightened. He thought back to the whispers in his head, the suffocating feeling of something reaching into his mind, and that voice.
We have waited long enough.
That's not comforting.
You wish to know the truth, then you will come with me.
All right.
I swear, if this ends with us, fighting another monster will not end good.
If it does, try not to fall into another pit.
Jason shook his head as he followed Vael'Zorith toward the deeper tunnels of the fortress. Because no matter what they were about to uncover, he had a sinking feeling that the real fight was only just beginning. Jason followed Master Vael'Zorith deeper into the fortress, his boots echoing against the cold stone floor. The walls here were different, older, untouched by time, covered in intricate carvings that glowed faintly with blue energy. Seyna walked beside him, silent but watchful. Alex, Mark, and the rest of the crew followed closely behind, their weapons still within reach, just in case.
This place gives me the creeps.
Mark muttered under his breath, running a hand along one of the glowing carvings.
Like it's watching us.
Jason had to agree. The further they walked, the heavier the air felt, not just physically but emotionally. Like they were stepping into a place that should have been left undisturbed. Finally, they reached a massive chamber. At its center stood a monolithic structure, half machine, half stone, pulsing with deep blue veins of light. Jason slowed his steps.
What is that?
The Vael'Zorith stepped forward, placing a hand against the ancient machine.
The last remaining records of our war with the Voidborn.
The room fell completely silent. Jason exchanged a glance with Naomi, who was already scanning the structure with her wrist device.
This thing is ancient. It's got tech I've never seen before. Way more advanced than anything the Union has.
What does it say? The Orc leader hesitated for a brief moment, just long enough for Jason to notice. Then he placed his massive hand against the structure, and the entire room came alive. A holographic display erupted from the carvings, filling the chamber with ghostly blue projections. They saw massive Orc warships, sleek and bristling with weapons, engaging in battle against an enemy that was more darkness than form. Jason's stomach twisted as he recognized the golden-eyed creatures, shifting and twisting in impossible ways, tearing through entire fleets like they were nothing. Then the projection changed. It showed a single Orc warrior standing in the center of a great battlefield, facing an entire horde of Voidborn. Jason could tell, even in holographic form, this warrior was different. He wasn't just an Orc, he was something else.
This is the first champion.
The one who led our people against the Voidborn in the last war. He was the only Orc to ever bond with the Source.
The Source?
The power that allows us to fight them. The energy that flows through our warriors, through our world. The same power you saw in the war trials.
You're saying this energy, whatever it is what let him fight them.
Without it, we would have been consumed, but even with his power, we barely survived.
Jason stared at the glowing projection of the first champion. For some reason, he felt like he was meant to see this, like it was waiting for him. Then the projection shifted again. This time, it showed something even worse. The first champion stood alone, his blade crackling with energy, facing not an army but a singular figure. Tall, shadowed, its golden eyes burned brighter than the rest. Jason felt something cold crawl up his spine. Vael'Zorith's voice was barely above a whisper.
The first of the Voidborn.
Jason stared at the figure, his chest tight. He didn't know how, he didn't know why, but somehow he had seen that thing before. Jason couldn't tear his eyes away from the holographic projection. The first champion, the greatest Orc warrior to ever live, stood alone against the monstrous Voidborn figure. It was taller than any Orc, its elongated limbs shifting and twisting like a nightmare-given form. Its golden eyes burned through the darkness, locking onto the warrior as if staring directly into his soul. Jason felt an unfamiliar pressure in his chest, not fear, not exactly, but something close. A deep, unsettling sense of recognition. He didn't know why, he had never seen this thing before. Had he, Seyna's voice pulled him back to reality.
This is the only surviving record of the final battle. The first champion faced the Voidborn alone, and he was never seen again.
What happened to him?
No one knows.
The hologram continued playing, showing the first champion lunging forward, striking with a blade crackling with the same blue energy Seyna had wielded against the Voidborn earlier. The mysterious Voidborn did not retreat. Instead, it simply raised a hand. The holographic battlefield erupted in golden fire. The projection flickered violently, then cut to black.
That's all you have.
It is all that remains.
Okay, so let's summarize. The Voidborn wiped out nearly everything, your greatest warrior vanished, and you buried all of this underground.
What would you have done, human? Shout into the void and hope they do not hear.
Jason opened his mouth to argue, then hesitated, because she wasn't wrong. Naomi's voice crackled over the comms.
Jason, I've been running scans while you guys were playing ancient history lesson. And I have some bad news.
Of course you do.
That signal we picked up, it wasn't just some old distress beacon. It was a warning system, a failsafe.
A failsafe for what?
The cavern rumbled, stones shifted, dust raining down from the ceiling. The ancient holographic device flickered, its blue light turning red.
Jason, someone or something just activated it.
Then the past has finally caught up with us.
We need to move, now.
The entire fortress trembled. Jason instinctively braced himself, scanning the cavern as dust and loose debris rained from the ceiling. The holographic projection flickered violently, the once glowing carvings along the walls pulsing red.
Jason, that failsafe, it wasn't just a warning system. It sent out a signal, something's coming.
Can you shut it down?
Are you serious? This thing is ancient and running on tech that makes no sense. I'd need hours, maybe days.
Jason exchanged a glance with Seyna.
We don't have hours, do we?
Seyna's grip tightened on her blade.
No.
Vael'Zorith turned to one of his guards, barking a command in the Orc tongue. The warrior immediately tapped the side of his gauntlet, activating a holographic display of the fortress exterior. What Jason saw made his stomach drop. The storm outside had changed. Dark clouds swirled unnaturally, forming an eerie vortex above the fortress. From within, golden lightning cracked violently, illuminating something moving within the storm. Jason stepped forward, narrowing his eyes. The Orc warrior obeyed. The screen zoomed in and Jason felt the breath leave his lungs. Tall, twisted figures floated just beyond the swirling storm. Not ships, not life forms, something in between. The Voidborn had arrived.
That's a whole lot of nightmare fuel.
Mark for once didn't have a joke. He just muttered.
I hate space.
They come to finish what they started.
How do we fight them?
Seyna turned to her father.
The armory.
Yes, if this is to be war, then we will fight as warriors.
Naomi, get the ship ready for launch. If this place is going to turn into a battlefield, I want an exit plan.
I am looking into it.
Riario, who had been silent until now, finally spoke.
Captain, I sense something else.
What do you mean?
The Voidborn, they are not just attacking, they are searching.
Searching for what?
For you.
The cavern trembled again, the storm outside intensifying. Seyna met Jason's gaze, and for the first time since they met, he saw something close to fear in her eyes. Jason took a deep breath, gripping his weapon. Whatever was coming, it wasn't just war, it was personal.